Picture this. You're standing in the kitchen. Someone you love says something, maybe it's nothing, maybe it's sharp, and suddenly your chest tightens. Heat floods your face. Your thoughts spiral, and before you know it, you've said something you'll regret, slammed a door, or retreated into silence so cold it could frost windows. Later, when the storm passes, you wonder, why did I react that way? Why couldn't I just stay calm? Here's what nobody tells you. You weren't weak in that moment. You were human. Your emotions didn't betray you. They were trying to protect you. The question isn't whether you have emotions. The question is whether you understand them well enough to work with them instead of being swept away by them. This is the territory of emotional intelligence, and today we're going deep. Emotional intelligence isn't about suppressing what you feel. It's not about becoming a robot who smiles through everything. It's something far more profound. Think of your emotions as an ancient language, one that's been speaking to you since before you could form words. Emotional intelligence is learning to translate that language, to read it, to respond rather than react. Psychologist Daniel Goleman, who brought emotional intelligence into mainstream consciousness, broke it down into 5 core components: self-awareness, self-regulation, motivation, empathy, and social skills. But beneath those clinical terms lies something more poetic: the ability to be present with yourself, to witness your inner weather without being destroyed by the storm. Here's why it matters. Studies show that emotional intelligence predicts success in life, in relationships, careers, mental health, more reliably than IQ. Because you can be brilliant and still destroy every connection you have if you can't navigate the emotional undercurrents of being human. Let's go beneath the surface. What are emotions, really? Your amygdala, a small, almond-shaped structure deep in your brain, acts as your internal alarm system. It's ancient, primal, designed to keep you alive. When it perceives threat, it floods your body with cortisol and adrenaline before your conscious mind even understands what's happening. This is why you feel before you think. Your prefrontal cortex, right behind your forehead, is the voice of reason, the architect of long-term thinking. But here's the catch. In moments of intense emotion, the amygdala hijacks the show. Your thinking brain goes offline. You become, quite literally, less rational. This isn't a design flaw. 10,000 years ago, if you saw a shadow move in the grass, you didn't need to think. You needed to run. But today, that same system fires when your boss criticizes you, when your text goes unanswered, when you feel overlooked at a dinner party. Your ancient brain can't tell the difference between a lion and a slight, and that's where the work begins. There's a concept in psychology called emotional granularity, the ability to make fine distinctions between feelings. Most of us operate with a limited emotional vocabulary. We say we're fine or stressed or upset, painting our inner world in broad, imprecise strokes. But research by Lisa Feldman Barrett shows that people who can name their emotions with precision, distinguishing between anxious and overwhelmed, between disappointed and betrayed, between lonely and disconnected, have greater emotional regulation and resilience. Why? Because you cannot change what you cannot name. When you say, "I'm angry," you give yourself nothing to work with. But when you say, "I'm feeling disrespected and powerless," suddenly you've identified something specific. You've created space between the emotion and your reaction. And in that space lives your freedom. Here's your practice. Next time emotion rises, pause. Ask yourself, what exactly am I feeling? If I had to choose 3 words, not one, what would they be? You might be surprised by what emerges when you look closer. Your triggers aren't random. They're breadcrumbs leading back to old wounds, unmet needs, stories you've been telling yourself since childhood. The colleague who interrupts you in meetings might trigger rage, not because of the interruption itself, but because it echoes a childhood where you weren't heard. The friend who cancels plans might trigger abandonment, not because they don't care, but because some part of you learned long ago that you're forgettable. This is what psychologists call emotional residue, the way past experiences color present reality. Mastering your emotions requires detective work. When you feel triggered, get curious. What is this really about? When have I felt this way before? What am I afraid it means about me? The insight might be uncomfortable. You might discover that your anger is actually grief, that your anxiety is actually a longing for control. that your numbness is actually exhaustion from years of holding everything together. But discomfort is the price of awareness, and awareness is the price of freedom. Here's the paradox. You master emotions not by controlling them, but by allowing them, and then choosing your response. Emotional regulation doesn't mean suppression. Suppression is pushing the feeling down, pretending it isn't there, until it erupts sideways. Regulation is feeling the feeling fully, observing it like weather passing through, and deciding what to do with the energy it carries. Neuroscience gives us tools, the 90-second rule. Neuroanatomist Jill Bolt Taylor discovered that an emotion, from trigger to full chemical flush, lasts just 90 seconds in the body. After that, it's you keeping it alive through rumination, through story, through replay. Breathe, wait, watch it pass. The gap technique. Between stimulus and response, there is a space. In that space is your power. Create the gap deliberately. Count to 10. Name the emotion. Feel your feet on the ground. Reclaim your prefrontal cortex. Reappraisal. This isn't toxic positivity. It's perspective. That criticism, it might be true and delivered poorly and an opportunity to grow that rejection. It might hurt and redirect you towards something better. Both things can be true. The goal isn't to feel nothing. The goal is to feel everything without being consumed by it. Resilience isn't about being unbreakable. It's about knowing you can break and still come back together. Think of emotional resilience as a muscle. You build it through practice, through choosing differently, through the cumulative weight of small moments where you didn't react, where you stayed present, where you chose truth over comfort. Practice self-compassion. Talk to yourself the way you talk to someone you love. When you stumble, when you lose it, when you say the wrong thing, recognize your humanity instead of weaponizing shame. Build your support network. Resilience isn't solitary. It lives in connection, in the people who can hold space for your emotions without trying to fix them. Cultivate meaning. People who find purpose in their struggles, who can say, "This happened and I learned something," bounce back faster and stronger. Meaning is the lighthouse in the storm. Let's clear some things up. Myth. Emotional intelligence means always being calm and collected. Truth. It means feeling deeply and choosing wisely. Myth. Some people are just naturally emotionally intelligent. Truth. It's a skill. It can be learned, practiced, refined. Myth. Being emotionally intelligent means you never get angry. Truth. It means you understand your anger, express it constructively, and don't let it drive you off cliffs. The calm person isn't emotionless. They've just learned to befriend their emotions instead of waging war with them. So what can you do starting today? Keep an emotion journal. For 1 week, write down every strong emotion you feel. What triggered it, how it felt in your body, what story you told yourself about it. Patterns will emerge. Practice the pause. Before responding to anything emotionally charged, take 3 deep breaths. Feel your feet. Count to 5. Choose your words. Expand your vocabulary. Learn new emotion words. Don't settle for bad or fine. Get specific. Get granular. Ask better questions. Replace "why do I always do this?" with "what am I trying to protect? What do I need right now?" Seek feedback. Ask someone you trust. How do I show up emotionally? When do you see me at my best? When do I seem to struggle? Listen without defending. The work of emotional mastery isn't done in a day. It's done in 1,000 small moments of choosing awareness over autopilot. Your emotions are not your enemy. They never were. They're messengers carrying information from the deepest parts of you. Parts that remember everything, that want you to be safe, that long for connection and meaning and truth. The question is whether you'll learn their language. Mastering your emotions doesn't make you cold. It makes you more fully human, capable of feeling everything without being destroyed by anything. And that's not just intelligence, that's wisdom. Thanks for watching. If this resonated, leave a comment sharing one emotion you struggle with most. Let's create a space where we can be honest about the work. And as always, think deeply, feel fully, and never stop exploring what it means to be human.